who's Jasiri's mother, may say something, as well as Hakimu, his brother. Um, and and we also have in the sunroom a video of Jasiri's memorial service in Delaware. It was a memorial service at an art museum, which Hakimu, his big brother, uh, really put his life into organizing, and it was an excellent memorial service. It was in a black-owned art museum, and it was attended probably by twice as many people as we expected. And it was I thought it was a testament to Jasiri's, as I mentioned at that festival, gravitational pull. And I honestly learned so much more about Jasiri because he hadn't lived here. We moved here 30 years ago last month, and I guess Jasiri was 13. I think Hakeem was 16. Um, uh, and so some of you knew him from then, but then he went to University of Delaware, and I think he was 19, and then stayed in Delaware. So a lot of people wouldn't have known him, on a regular basis. Um, while in Delaware, though, he developed such a network of friends. It was really impressive. I mean, I didn't know just how great that gravitational pull was until, in the hospital room when he died, he was surrounded by a number of his friends from Delaware, far more than I guess you would ordinarily expect. Um, and and so it really impressed me just how how strong an impression he made on people. Uh, One good example I think of that was one of his nurses, a woman by the name of Miriam Dodart, who unfortunately couldn't be here today. But she told us that she had considered leaving the profession until she met Jasiri, and
Wow.
she only cared for him for about a week,
Wow.
and then he went into hospice in the same hospital, but not in her unit. But she said after meeting him and talking with him, she really rededicated herself, to the nursing profession, and that really made an incredible impression upon me because she's seen probably thousands of patients, uh, and and that was so that was a very strong impression. It was I try to keep in mind that Zasiri now is no longer in pain. Um, but honestly, it's difficult not to think about how much pain he was in because he was in so much pain for such a long time. Um, and Hakimu and I were in his room in the hospital when we were talking about when he told us how he wanted to take advantage of Delaware's Death with Dignity Act, and he had applied to do that. Uh, but there's like a 15-day waiting period, and unfortunately, he died before that 15 days lapsed. Um, but when he told us that, Hakeem and I were on each side of him in his bed, and we were just, really crying our eyes out, you know.
Mm.
But the I'm so glad, honestly, that he no longer has to suffer, and so that's kind of what that's kind of what I want to that's kind of what I need to focus on. Um, and also I want to give condolences to Cheryl, who just told us that her cousin, who was close like a brother, just died in April as well, and also to Maureen and Joshua, because Marlon just died, I think, also in April, um, and and so I guess there's a lot of that going around, unfortunately, um, and but it's so we just wanted to come and not be sad about Jasiri, but
Hmm.
but celebrate his life
Celebrate.
because it was clearly worth celebrating. And so we want to thank all of you for coming and helping us, really helping us with this transition because I think basically exercises like this that kind of help us cope. And so we want to just want to really thank you for being here. And our sunroof, our sunroom here is a video that Hakimu made of the memorial service, and it was just playing from beginning to end. So as you pass through the sunroom, you can stop if you'd like to see some of that service. Um, which turned out to be just such a very meaningful experience. Um, as I mentioned to some of you already, we had a green burial for Jasiri at the Park Lawn Cemetery in Wheaton, and that was in some ways it was a bit of a surprise. Of course, we planned to have a green burial, meaning he would be buried without a casket, so that his body would decompose into the earth.
Mm-hmm.
What we didn't realize was that I will back up just one step. The body was transported from Wilmington Funeral Home to the cemetery in a hearse and a casket, but it was a rental casket, which I was totally unfamiliar with until this point. I didn't know you could rent a casket. So they transport him from Wilmington to Wheaton in a rental casket. Gets to the cemetery um, close to the burial plot. Uh, the casket is wheeled on like a rolling stretcher up, part way up this hill to where the gravesite itself is, and then his body was removed, only draped in only a shroud, uh, and there were six pallbearers, including Hakimo, including me. Eric was one, John was one, and one of Hakimo's friends was another, and one of my friends that I grew up with was another. And the procedure, it really wasn't adequately explained to us, honestly, because we did not know until that point that it was up to the pallbearers to lift his body, again only clad in a shroud, from the casket and carry it to the grave. And then a couple of pallbearers, and Hakima was one, actually got in the grave,
Wow.
and the remaining four pallbearers had to lift the body um, from the casket into the grave, and hand it literally to the two pallbearers who were in the grave. Uh, and at first when they told us this is how it was going to happen, it was like, well, no, that's not what we thought was going to happen. Um, but there was a one of the people from the funeral home told us that he had seen this done before. He said, you might really want to do this. First of all, that's at that point I don't know if we actually had a choice, because the funeral home actually wasn't prepared to do it, because they assumed it was our responsibility, but they hadn't told us it was our responsibility, which was a problem for a minute. Um, but it turned out to be a really meaningful moment. And for me personally, I literally handed my son Jasiri to my son Hakimu, who was in the grave, and Jasiri was somewhat exposed. His head was totally exposed, just a shroud, so sometimes it was falling halfway off of his body. And so we handed Jasiri to Hakimu and to another pallbearer by the name of Chris. They collected the body. They took the body in the grave, and then they had to literally climb out of the grave, kind of around the Syria without stepping on it. But it was incredibly meaningful, and a really a very intimate uh, situation for us. And so and so now we have this gathering, which is another way to send off the Siri, uh, for people who were not in Wilmington. And also, I think, as I mentioned to begin with, just to thank you so much for the support that you've given us. We really appreciate that. And so now, family members will say a few words, and if anybody else wants to say anything, that's cool too. And so I'll ask Dean who has a point.
Ask Carolyn if you want to go first.
Would you like to go first, Karen?
Go ahead.
You might be able to say something.
I was fortunate to be Jasiri's, I don't like the term stepmother, but that's what we have for language. His mother is right here, and he was pretty much grown when I came into his life. But I had the um, pleasure of mothering him to the degree that I could at his age. And I wrote this poem for Jasiri based on my experiences and impressions of him. Jasiri. He was too much for this world, too beautiful, too tree bark brown, a doe-eyed soul who saw too much, too quick to slow down for the rest of us, a restless spirit, a will of a wisp for those who tried and tried to catch him. He was too gay to be happy unless he really was happy, too impatient to suffer our foolishness, too tenacious to give in or up or out, except in a time, a place, or circumstance of his own choosing, too certain to pander or please or ponder what others might want or think, too kind sometimes, too loving sometimes, too nonchalant sometimes, too cool sometimes, leaving us all out in the cold. He was too sarcastic for diplomacy when sarcasm was called for, too wise to be contrary when cooperation was necessary, too shining a star to fade to black too soon, too human for the pain. And when the world became too much for him, he left us. That was good to see.
Oh,
Very nice.
excellent.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much for being here. And I really appreciate another opportunity to talk about my son. He was so special. I'll just give you one example. I used to drive by the bar and restaurant where he would work. And one evening I walked in and this elderly white gentleman came in, took a seat. The server without a word takes a drink and puts it in front of him. And the gentleman turned to me and says, "That's my son." So Siri had a way of making people feel special. And he made me feel special, and I will always appreciate it. So thank you so much.
Oh,
I go after somebody else. Other people want to talk.
Oh, I wanted to tell them that the video is available online at Hakeem Davidson's YouTube.
Anybody else like to say anything?
I would.
Okay, please do, Gwen.
And I want to say, this is coming your way, Carolyn. I knew Carolyn 45 years ago. Dating myself, I was one. But at any rate, to Joe and to Hakeemu and to my dear sister friend Dean and to Carolyn, I come, believe it or not, with joy, because just that J in Jasiri's name speaks to joy. Some people do flowers, others do covered dishes. I do for, to show love to those who are mourning, I do something that is both practical and old school. I do a picture frame, and the picture frame is encased with a poem that basically, some call it a prayer, some call it a poem. I call an Hopi the Hopi Indian poem. Now, this poem, the author apparently, I had to do some research, Joe, on where it came from. And it's actually, according to Wikipedia, a woman named Claire Harner. She's not Hopi, she's a white woman who wrote the poem to memorialize the passing of her brother. And she published it because she was also a journalist. She published it in the 1930s. And over the years, it gained attention and from a wide spectrum of sources, including a Navajo chief, Dear Abby, believe it or not, and John Wayne. So, nearly a century later, I am holding on to this, and I want to extend this gift to both Joe and Carolyn, and yours is coming separately, but it's called the Hopi Poem Prayer, okay? Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am the diamond glints on snow. I am the sunlight on ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you awaken in the morning's hush, I am the swift, uplifting rush of the quiet white doves in circled flight. I am the soft stars that shine at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry, I am not there. I did not die.
Beautiful.
You can put a picture in it. You can take the poem out, and that's coming your way. And thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So much. It's coming in the mail. I'm going to mail it to you. Oh,
Anybody else?
Say something. Don't mind if I sit here. I just want to say, he was just a lovely. He asked me several times, he babysitted Joshua. He said, I don't have a lot of kids. I said, thank God that he babysitted. Joshua has a lot of energy. And he would come over and babysit. He's really supportive. Daddy Joe and Mom. He's such a good man. That's all.
Thank you. Good. Anyone else?
Nobody else? Good afternoon, everybody.
good afternoon.
I was looking back at the program and some of the series photos, and always look at the second photo on the, I guess it's the inside cover page. It's a series hanging off some monkey bars as a kid with his tongue sticking out. It's like my favorite photo of him. Really shows some of his energy, adventurousness, whatever words, strategery, whatever words we make up for it. But I don't have a ton to say. I mean, I just miss my brother. Not just now, but things that are going to happen in my life that he should be at.
Take your time.
But it is good to know It's good to know how many people loved him.
Yeah,
And I should say too that Chemo also designed that program,
yeah,
which there's some on the table, in addition to doing video and really totally organizing the memorial service. In addition to being in the grave, reflecting his brother's body. And so he's, Chemo stepped up as he has in many other ways throughout the years, but magnificent fashion. So, we are very grateful to the way just Chemo was handled the death of his brother. But I guess that's it. We have plenty of food left. And you're welcome to take a look at the video if you like, and maybe just hang around and fellowship like this. So thank you so much for coming.
thank you.
If anybody wants to take food home, believe me, I'm happy to. We got baggies.
Oh, and there's also a
that
book.
me and
There's also a book here to sign.
Oh yeah, she's got it here. She's passing around.
You know what? And it's too soon now, but you will find that as time goes by, that immortality, because you know
want me to
was
turn
a
the
part
music
of your
back
brother, he's going to be in you all the time. And
Yeah.
it's an amazing, you can't feel it right now because it's too soon, but it will happen. And when it happens, when you think about him, it'll be not sadness, but joy. And the joy that overtakes you will just make you glad that he was your brother. It's going to come, but it's too soon right now because the mourning and the grieving period is not over yet. And you're always going to miss him, always.
Yeah, parts right here.
I forgot to say that I call that poem immortality. I forgot to say that.